Ever stop to think how many mistakes are standing between you and the physique you dream of? And no, it's not just the obvious ones. There are a bunch of hidden traps that might be sabotaging your progress without you even noticing. Today, I'm going to share what I learned the hard way over years of training, and the stuff nobody really talks about. Grab your pre-workout and come along, because now it's time to dial in, dodge the pitfalls, and level up. If you're serious about doing things differently, this video is for you. Take a deep breath, fix your posture, and let's get started. One thing I see all the time at the gym is people obsessed with sculpting their abs, doing endless sets of oblique exercises. It's like everyone thinks the more they train that area, the slimmer their waist will look. But the truth? It's not like that at all. The sides of your abs, the obliques, when overtrained, actually start to grow. And that can make your waist look wider, not tighter. I fell into that trap myself. Back then, I was chasing the shredded six-pack with sharp, defined sides. So I figured, I'll hammer my obliques to get that tight waistline. What happened? Pretty quickly, the sides of my abs started to bulk up. Even with low body fat, the added size looked like love handles. That extra muscle just made my waist look blocky. And the worst part? This kind of muscle growth isn't easy to reverse. Your obliques are already super active all day. They stabilize your core anytime you're standing, walking, lifting. So when you hit them hard with weighted side bends or heavy twists, you're basically asking for a thicker waist. A lot of people think getting abs is about chiseling the sides, but real definition comes from lowering your body fat, not from blowing up your side muscles. Training obliques with weight, especially with high volume, just builds mass where you probably don't want it. Just look at top-tier physique athletes. They go out of their way not to isolate obliques with too much resistance. If I could go back, I'd skip all that direct oblique work. They get plenty of activation from big compound lifts like squats, deadlifts, rows, and even just holding good posture. There's rarely a need to isolate them, unless you have a specific reason. So let me ask you, have you fallen into this trap too? Ever feel like your waist got wider after grinding out oblique exercises? If so, you're not alone. It's a common mistake, but totally fixable with a shift in training focus and a smarter fat loss approach. If you're aiming for a tighter waist and a more athletic look, here's my advice. Ditch the endless weighted oblique sets. Focus on keeping your body fat low, go hard on the big lifts, and let your obliques do their job in the background. Trust me, that change will pay off big time in the long run. One thing a lot of people get wrong in the beginning is thinking that a good diet has to be painful. I've seen it and lived it so many times. People cutting out all salt, ditching any kind of sauce, boiling chicken to death until it turns into rubber. The idea? The cleaner the food, the better the results. But honestly, that mindset is a total backfire. I went down that road too. I remember meal prepping boiled chicken with zero salt, no seasoning, nothing. Every meal felt like punishment. I truly believed that suffering was part of the process, like pain was the price you had to pay for a great physique. But the problem is that kind of diet just isn't sustainable. You can push through for a while, but eventually your mind gives out. You start dreading every meal. Over time, I realized it didn't have to be that way. I learned the real key to dieting isn't about removing every ounce of flavor. It's about managing quantity and quality. A little salt in moderation? Totally fine. Natural seasonings? Go for it. Even sauces can work if you avoid the ones loaded with sugar and fat. You can stay on track and enjoy your food. You've probably heard that line, dieting is simple, but it doesn't have to be boring. It's true. When your food tastes good, it's way easier to stay consistent. And at the end of the day, consistency is what gets results, not torturing yourself 24/7 with meals you hate. Yet I still see people making this same mistake all the time. So tell me, have you been through the flavorless chicken phase, thinking it was the only way? Ever had that moment where you hated every bite, but thought it was just part of the grind? If so, you're definitely not alone. We've all believed that at some point in the journey. These days, whenever someone new starts dieting and already wants to go extreme, I stop and explain it doesn't have to be that way. You can build a solid, macro-friendly diet and still enjoy your meals. It just takes a little more thought and a lot less panic. The hardest path isn't always the smartest one. So before you throw out your seasoning, think long-term. Want lasting results? Build a strategy you can actually stick with, without misery. Your diet doesn't have to feel like punishment. It can, and should, be a natural part of your life. Make sense to you? Drop a comment and let me know how your diet journey is going, or how it started out. There's a phase that almost feels like a rite of passage in bodybuilding. Cutting carbs thinking it's going to work magic on your physique. I still see tons of people making this mistake today. The belief is simple. No carbs equals faster fat loss. But reality? It hits way harder. Yeah, at first you lose weight, but along with it goes your energy, strength, and even your look. I've been down that road myself. Before competitions, I used to think the best strategy was to cut carbs completely and live off protein. The result? Constant fatigue, sluggish workouts, and my physique started to look flat and deflated. That full, vascular, dense muscle look? Gone. And the worst part, it messes with your head too. What most people forget is that carbs are your body's main fuel source, especially for high-intensity stuff like weight training. Without them, your performance crashes. And if your workouts suck, you're not building or keeping muscle. So cutting carbs too much? It's actually a major backfire, even for people who care only about aesthetics. Over time, I realized the secret isn't ditching carbs, it's managing them smartly. Knowing how much to eat, when to adjust, and choosing the right types makes all the difference. Carbs aren't the enemy. In fact, they're essential if you want full muscles, solid workouts, and even healthy hormone function. So let me ask you, have you ever tried a zero-carb diet thinking it'd speed things up? How'd that go? I bet, just like me, you felt weak, irritable, and totally off your game. It's a classic mistake, but thankfully, it's easy to fix with the right info. Now my mindset is clear. Carbs are a tool. Knowing how to use them is what separates people with long-term results from those stuck in a constant yo-yo. There's no point in chasing shortcuts that drain your energy and wreck your health. This game is about strategy, not extremes. So if you're thinking about cutting carbs completely, think twice. Balance always wins in the long run. You can adjust your diet, burn fat the right way, and still keep a full, solid physique. It's funny how so many people start hitting the gym thinking that just eating well is enough without paying attention to the details. And one of the most common mistakes? Totally neglecting protein. I see it all the time. Someone trains hard, goes home, and eats rice, beans, maybe some potatoes, but where's the protein? It ends up as an afterthought. But if you're chasing muscle growth, that's a mistake that'll cost you. I've been there too. In the beginning, I thought training hard was all it took. I didn't track anything, had no clue how much protein I needed, and often went whole meals without any solid source of it. The result? Slow gains, tons of frustration, and a physique that just wouldn't click no matter how much I trained. Eventually, I realized protein is the foundation of muscle building. Without it, your body can't repair from training, let alone build new muscle. You can have the best workout plan in the world, but if you're not giving your body the raw material it needs, nothing's going to happen. It's like trying to build a house with no bricks. Nowadays, making sure I hit my protein goal in every meal is one of my top priorities. It's not obsession, it's smart strategy. Knowing how much your body needs and spreading that intake throughout the day makes a huge difference. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Chicken, eggs, lean beef, fish, dairy. What matters is making sure it's there. So tell me, have you ever found yourself training hard but not paying much attention to your protein intake? Ever feel like you're doing everything right but still not seeing the results? A lot of times, the answer is in this simple oversight. Fixing that can completely change the game. One more thing, don't rely only on your post-workout shake. Some people think that one scoop of whey after lifting is enough and they're good to go. But muscle growth is a full-day process, and your body needs a steady flow of protein to support it. That's why your whole diet matters, not just one meal. If you're serious about making progress, start by reviewing your nutrition. Figure out how much protein you need, structure your meals around it, and aim for variety in your sources. It's not about overdoing it. It's about doing the bare minimum to get steady, real results. So how's your protein game? Let me know in the comments. There are some exercises I still see people doing all the time, thinking they're crushing it. when in reality, they're just setting themselves up for injury. Behind the neck lat pull downs, behind the head shoulder presses, absolute classics of joint destruction. I've lost count of how many times I've seen people forcing these moves without realizing the price they're paying. And yeah, I made those mistakes too. At the beginning of my journey, I followed whatever was handed to me without asking questions. If someone said to do shoulder presses behind the head, I did them. If they swore behind the neck pull downs were great for widening the back, there I was yanking the bar behind my neck. The issue? These movements put your joints, especially shoulders and cervical spine, in super vulnerable positions. What a lot of people don't realize is that there's no point doing exercises that come with more risk than reward. These movements stress your joints in unnatural ways, increasing the chance of inflammation, rotator cuff injuries, and even nerve impingements. And all that with zero real aesthetic advantage over safer alternatives. Now I get it. The best exercise is the one you can do with solid form, safely and efficiently, without grinding your body down. There are way smarter options out there like dumbbell presses in front of the body or standard front pull downs that hit the same muscle groups without wrecking your joints. How about you? Have you ever fallen into that trap too? Doing behind the neck pull downs or shoulder presses thinking you were leveling up, only to end up with aches or even pain. If so, don't stress. It's a common slip up, but one that's easy to fix. The key is understanding that joint health is an investment in your future. Another thing, we got to stop romanticizing old school exercises just because they've been around forever. Not everything from 30 years ago is still a good idea today. Training science has come a long way, and it's on us to grow with it. Choosing movements that are not just effective, but safe too. If you're serious about longevity in the gym and real results, start rethinking your exercise selection. Just because something's popular doesn't mean it's smart. Treat your joints like your most valuable asset, because in the long run, they are. Who hasn't gotten hyped watching Ronnie Coleman yelling, "Yeah, buddy, lightweight baby," and thought the secret was just loading up more weight? I've seen it happen 1,000 times in gyms, and yeah, I fell into that mindset too. The idea was simple. If the giants lift insane amounts, I need to do the same to grow. But the reality? Completely different story. At the peak of that mentality, I was all about stacking plates, barely thinking about form. My ego was running the workout. The result? Sloppy reps, stressed joints, and a bunch of muscle compensations that just held back my progress. It didn't take long to realize that path wasn't going to take me far. What I learned, and what a lot of people take too long to figure out, is that weight is just one variable. Lifting heavy means nothing if your form is trash. Training with proper technique, really feeling the target muscle, is way more effective than just fighting the weight. Plus, it keeps your joints safe and helps you avoid injuries that could sideline you for months. These days, my priority is movement quality. Controlled reps, full range of motion, staying locked in with the muscle. That's where consistent results come from. And there's zero shame in lowering the weight if it means you're lifting it right. Hypertrophy is about the quality of the stimulus, not the number on the bar. What about you? Ever catch yourself chasing the weight instead of focusing on the actual workout? Ever push too far just to say you lifted more, even when you knew your form was slipping? It's a common trap, but it's totally worth rethinking. In the long run, the ones who prioritize form are the ones who win. Another thing that needs to be said, pros lift heavy, sure, but they've got the structure, genetics, and resources to handle it. Copying them blindly is a fast track to injury. Everyone's got their own pace, and respecting that is a sign of real training maturity. Smart progression beats gym hero mode every time. So before you toss another plate on the bench or squat rack, ask yourself, are you lifting to impress or to improve? That shift in mindset changes everything about your results. You know that idea of the more cardio, the better the results? Yeah, I still see a lot of people falling for that one. Folks think spending hours on the treadmill or bike is the fastest way to get shredded. And hey, I've been there too. At one point, I was doing up to 3 hours of cardio a day, thinking I was grinding like a hero. But in reality, it was just burnout and frustration. What I didn't realize back then, and what a lot of people still miss, is that too much cardio can actually backfire. Besides draining you physically, it starts eating into your muscle mass, messes with recovery, and tanks your performance in strength training. Your body just can't handle that constant overload without pushing back. Now I get it. Cardio is a tool, not a punishment. When used smartly, with the right duration and intensity, it helps burn fat without costing you muscle or leaving you totally wiped. That's when I made the switch, cut it down to 20 to 40-minute sessions at a moderate pace, and the results actually got better. Another big lesson: diet and strength training play a way bigger role in body composition than endless cardio. The calorie deficit comes from your whole strategy, not for trying to make up for mistakes by adding extra treadmill time. That mindset shift completely changed how I approach fitness. What about you? Have you gone through that endless cardio phase too? Thought the only way to lean out was by sweating for hours every day? If so, don't worry. It's a super common mistake, but one that's easy to fix. The real magic happens when you find the right balance, where cardio supports your goals instead of wrecking your routine. One important thing: more cardio doesn't always mean more results. Sometimes, less is more. The goal should be quality and strategy, not mindless volume. And the best part? When your time is used wisely, you've got more energy to crush your lifts and more life outside the gym, too. So before you schedule 2 or 3 hours of cardio a day, take a step back and ask yourself, are you training smart or just trying to force it? Drop a comment and tell me how your relationship with cardio is going. And if you've ever fallen into the trap of doing too much, there are some things people keep doing in the gym just because that's how it's always been. The straight bar is a perfect example. I see tons of folks forcing movements with it, even when it's clearly causing discomfort in their wrists, elbows, or shoulders. I used to be that guy too. I used a straight bar for nearly every arm and chest exercise, thinking it was the right path just because it was the traditional way. At first, I didn't care about the pain. I thought joint discomfort was just part of the grind, and that my body would get used to it over time. Reality check. I was just stacking up small injuries, inflammation, and a ton of movement limitations. All of it could have been avoided if I had dropped the ego and actually listened to my body. Once I gave other tools a shot, everything changed. The easy bar, with its angled grip, immediately took pressure off my wrists and elbows. And dumbbells? Total game changer. They gave me way more freedom to adjust my grip and range of motion based on what felt right. Training became smoother, safer, and more effective. Here's the thing: there's no one-size-fits-all golden rule. Every body moves differently, and sticking with something that hurts just because it's standard makes zero sense. Real progress comes from figuring out what works for you and respecting your body's natural mechanics. That goes for straight bars, machines, grips, angles, everything. So let me ask you, have you ever kept using a straight bar even though it didn't feel right? Ever thought switching to an easy bar or dumbbells was wimping out? If so, let me tell you, it's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's about long-term health and quality training. Top athletes do this all the time. You should too. What I see more and more today is elite-level lifters prioritizing safety and efficiency, even if it means letting go of outdated habits. The straight bar has its place, but it's not a must. Being able to adapt is part of a winning mindset. That's what training smart really means. So if you're still forcing the straight bar out of habit, maybe it's time to rethink. Try the easy bar. Give dumbbells a shot. Pay attention to how your body feels. And let me know, did you notice better progress once you stopped clinging to tradition? For the longest time, I thought that to earn respect in the bodybuilding world, you had to be competing all the time. Like your worth was measured by how many shows you'd done. And honestly, I still see a lot of people trapped in that same mindset, thinking they need to live in this never-ending prep cycle just to be seen. I spent nearly 12 years like that. One prep rolled into the next, with barely any time for my body or my mind to recover. The pressure was real, but most of it came from me. I had this internal voice saying if I stopped, I was weak or failing. But in the long run, that belief only led to burnout, physically and mentally. Eventually, I realized that competing is a choice, not a requirement. You don't need trophies or stage time to prove your love for the sport. These days, I've shifted focus. My goals are personal, staying healthy, bringing up weak points in a sustainable way, and most of all, enjoying the process at my own pace. A lot of people forget that bodybuilding is a sport of longevity. If you burn yourself out too early, you risk injury, frustration, and even walking away from it completely. Learning to pace yourself and pick the right battles, that's real maturity. That's respecting your body and your journey. How about you? Have you ever felt that pressure? Like you had to compete to be legit? Have you pushed too hard just to meet someone else's expectations? If so, know that it's a common feeling, especially early on. But true growth happens when you start training and challenging yourself for you, not for the applause. Here's another thing. Shows are just moments. What really matters is the lifestyle, staying consistent, healthy, and motivated year after year. That's way more impressive than stacking medals every season. Your relationship with the sport should be built on purpose and balance. So if you love bodybuilding, but the pressure to compete is wearing you down more than lifting you up, it might be time to realign your goals. Respect comes from dedication and consistency, not podium finishes. Now tell me, what's your biggest personal challenge in the sport right now? Are you more focused on performance, aesthetics, or overall quality of life? You know that mindset of, I do it this way because that's how it's always been done. Yeah, I used to live by that. At the start of my journey, I just take whatever advice I got and run with it, no questions asked. If someone more experienced told me to follow a certain workout or diet, I just do it. And honestly, that blind trust held me back a lot. Here's the thing, bodybuilding is constantly evolving. Science moves forward, new techniques emerge, and our understanding of the human body keeps improving. But if you stay stuck in a bubble, repeating the same old formulas, you end up falling behind. It took me a while to see that. I spent years clinging to outdated methods, never really seeking new info or adapting my approach. Eventually, after plenty of mistakes, I realized progress comes from staying curious and constantly learning. I started reading more, listening to experts, diving into research, and most importantly, learning from my day-to-day training. Knowledge can't replace experience, but when you combine the two, your results go to another level. These days, my mindset is totally different. I question everything, do my research, test things on my own body, and then form conclusions. And no, that's not being disrespectful to those with more experience. It's about growing with awareness, knowing how to filter what actually works for you. That shift in mindset has brought me faster progress, fewer injuries, and way less frustration. What about you? Do you usually follow advice blindly? Or do you try to understand the why behind each strategy? Have you ever stopped to ask yourself if you're stuck in methods that don't serve you anymore? That kind of reflection is key if you want long-term success in the sport and real, lasting results. Another thing, learning never stops. There's always something new to discover, a technique to refine, a small tweak that makes a big difference. The moment you stop learning, you stop growing. And in bodybuilding, stagnation is the real enemy. Staying hungry for knowledge is what keeps you one step ahead. So if there's one message I want to leave you with, it's this. Always keep learning and adapting. Bodybuilding isn't a straight path. It's a journey of self-awareness, constant tweaks, and evolving every step of the way. If you made it this far, congrats. That already shows you're serious about doing things differently, learning from others' mistakes, and avoiding the same struggles I, and so many others, have been through on this bodybuilding journey. Trust me, being willing to admit your mistakes and seek growth is what separates the almost made it crowd from the ones who actually build a physique that commands respect. Now I want to hear from you. Out of the 10 mistakes I talked about, which one hit you the hardest? Which one felt like a wake-up call? Something you realized you really need to fix in your training or routine? Drop it in the comments. I read as many as I can and try to respond to everyone. If you like this video and it helped you out in any way, hit that like button. It tells YouTube this content matters and helps me reach more people who are chasing the same goals. And of course, if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the next drops. Around here, we keep it real. No sugarcoating, no pretending it's all easy, but always with a focus on smart progress and long-term evolution. And if you're hungry for more, check out the video linked in the card. There's a lot more to learn. That's it for today. Take care, train smart, and I'll see you in the next video.